In this video, I'll be talking about the 2001 book Fashion and Its Social Agendas, Class, Gender and Identity in Clothing by Diana Crane. In this book, Crane explores how fashion has historically reflected and reinforced social hierarchies, class structures and gender roles. She examines the US, UK and France in the 19th and 20th century. Before I get into my rating, please like and subscribe and tell us what you think in the comments. There's something for everyone on this channel. Here are my ratings for the book, which are out of 100. Usefulness 65, engagement 80. This book covers a wide range of topics and is written very well, and so I was pretty engaged. Depth 70. We don't follow a singular person or peoples, but we get an overview of life for men and women during certain periods. We also get to hear fashion opinions from focus groups, which I liked, but that was towards the end of the book. Moving on, accuracy 70, clarity 84, uniqueness 95, book cover 30. This book cover could have gone in a lot harder, I can't lie. Overall score 72.05. I really like this book, and I knew I would just from the title and subtitle alone, to be honest. The format is like a sociology textbook, minus the size of a traditional textbook, but it does read like one. But I liked it because it still laid out information clearly, which is to be expected. And the format is kind of to be expected because Crane was a professor of sociology at the University of Pennsylvania, so it is what it is. Given the subtitle of this book, it's no surprise that prominent thinkers are used to analyze class and gender's relation to fashion. From Bourdieu to Foucault and Butler, Crane uses their theories on gender and class to demonstrate how and why fashion changes over time. For example, how the restrictive nature of clothing for women was that way when they didn't have many legal rights and things of that nature. This was primarily done during the first sections of the book. After that, the book goes into more of a retelling of history than an analysis of sorts. As some of you may know from my other videos, I love to read about class, like any other Brit it seems. One thing I love about reading in general is how things are linked together. I love when a book reminds me of another book. For example, in this quote, younger people whose careers are at least stable and who are also the most active consumers of media culture find it difficult to obtain a clear sense of what contemporary society is like and of its significance to them. This quote in the book reminded me of the significance of cultural capital, as proposed in Mike Savage's book Social Class in the 21st Century. I'll leave a link to my book review on that in the description. Savage noted that the emergent service worker class was the youngest class, and they had both a high social and cultural degree of capital. One thing about instability is that at times it forces people to express themselves in ways they may not do if they were stable. Fashion definitely being one of those forms of expression. But back to the book, I like that Crane included France in her area of research. Of course she kind of had to, given that it's a book about fashion. But I did like the fact that she touches on France's feminist movement and how attitudes and wages were much slower than in the UK and the US during the 20th century and even in the 19th century. It reminded me that the perceived global ideologies move in different paces depending on the history of a given country or region. Speaking on the history of a given region, it is no surprise that fashion in the Victorian era makes an appearance in this book, this time in the form of the significance of trousers in that era. The culture of the Victorian era associated trousers with male authority. Dress reformers attempted to convince upper and middle class women to wear trousers, but on the whole they were unsuccessful. Crane does a good job of linking the three countries in this book, particularly due to the shared experiences such as war and how that changed attitudes towards everything. For example, when speaking about English women in the 20th century, Crane noted that trousers were accepted by working class women during the war and only much later in the 60s by middle class women after pants began to appear in their collections of French fashion designers. Crane did say in that chapter's note section that American women reverted back to wearing skirts in between World War I and World War II. If you read enough history, this isn't surprising. History is just constant change, from cultures to races to genders, nations, it's just constant change. One of the strengths of this book is how Crane portrays the smaller details in fashion that go under the radar. She noted that American police departments adopted masculine uniforms for women, after Congress amended the Civil Rights Act in 1972 to prohibit state and local governments from discriminating on the basis of gender. The consequences of law on the fashion industry is something I've never really considered, mainly because I'm not extreme, unorthodox, or particularly adventurous when it comes to fashion. But quotes like these made me appreciate this book a whole lot. And it's one of the reasons why I would recommend it for not just those who are interested in fashion, but people who are interested in class as well. Chapter 5 was a pretty cool chapter in this book. I learned more about the business side of fashion and how it's changed from before the World Wars to after the World Wars. Crane also dives more into the fashion designers themselves and the pros and cons of the consumer market at the time and what that meant for everyone. Again, Crane's writing style is very accessible. She doesn't use a lot of technical jargon at all. The biggest con I have with this book though is that it didn't touch on cultures that really intersect with class, gender and identity. And this is where the lower score on depth comes in. Crane noted in the book that the concern with personal identity is one way of adapting to new forms of social and cultural disorganization. Nothing, in my opinion, especially in 20th century America, portrays this more than African American culture, black culture, especially pertaining to hip hop. Hip hop was so vital in numerous ways in the late 20th century, just in terms of expression, just the climate of America and the world at the time. Especially due to hip hop's origins, it would have been perfect for this book. And even though Crane touches on youth culture and talks about black culture, it's like a paragraph or two, it really deserved a lot more attention. I appreciated this book for what it is, and it does seem to be a book for students, especially given the number of reviews on the book that I've seen. But even if you're not a student, I would definitely recommend this. If you're interested in fashion, class, identity, I would definitely pick up this book. If you like this video, then check out my playlist of other book reviews and talks. I promise there's something for everyone on this channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.